is Robert Munnich, or as Pinder likes to call me, Bobby Germany. We are coming at you live from the Sports Interaction Studios here in beautiful Guadeloupe, and we are here to break down the Calgary Flames taking on the New Jersey Devils. Welcome to the Zach Whitecloud era of Calgary Flames hockey, and my goodness, it's been a pretty crazy 48 hours here for the Flames. They get a 4-2 victory over the New York Islanders on Saturday. It's Rasmus Andersson's last game, and we saw him, at the end of the game, skating around the ice, looking at the crowd, waving, soaking it all in. Then he's, hugging and high-fiving teammates. Then Pat Steinberg, he makes him the third star of the game. He gets another lap. He gets a standing ovation from the Saddledome crowd, and at that point in time, you could just tell that was it. You could tell that was Rasmus Andersson's last game as a Calgary Flame. So we have that. Then you got Zane Parekh making his AHL debut with the Calgary Wranglers yesterday. Zane himself said it wasn't his best game. I was there. I would agree with Zane. It was not a great night for him. And then right as overtime was about to start in the Wranglers game, Darren Dreger drops the bomb on Twitter that the Vegas Golden Knights are the ones who have won the Rasmus Andersson sweepstakes. It's not the Boston Bruins. It's not the Detroit Red Wings. It's not the Dallas Stars. It's the Vegas Golden Knights because, of course, it's the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to dive into the Rasmus Andersson deal a little bit later. We'll get your comments on it and everything. But we are going to take a look at tonight's matchup, and that is going to be courtesy of our friends at Sports Interaction. This segment is brought to you by Sports Interaction, Sportsbook, and Casino. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. From puck drop to overtime, bet with Canada's homegrown sportsbook. 19 plus to play. Please play responsibly. And we're going to start out here by looking at the Sports Interaction odds for tonight's game between the Devils and the Flames. The New Jersey Devils are the favorites tonight at minus 118 on the money line. Calgary is at minus 102. You take a look at the spread or the puck line. The New Jersey Devils are listed as minus 1.5 on the spread. You could earn plus 200. So if you bet 20, you could win 40. And then the Calgary Flames to lose by 1 or win the game is at minus 250. So the Flames are underdogs tonight, which does make sense. The New Jersey Devils, they have a lot of talent in their lineup. They have a lot of speed, a lot of skill in their lineup. So it doesn't really surprise me to see that. But at the same time, the Devils have not been playing very good hockey as of late. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Defensively, they're struggling. Jacob Markstrom is having a rotten year, and we know what that's all about here in Calgary. So it should be a close game. It should be a pretty fun one tonight at the Saddledome. And one thing I want to do is anytime I'm going to be hosting Warmies here, I kind of want to do like a throwback or like a tribute to Johnny Gaudreau. He was just a fantastic player, so entertaining, exhilarating, exciting. And I just, when I think about the Flames and Devils, I always go back to March 12th of 2019 when Johnny Gaudreau had his 6-point night against the Devils on Saddledome ice. And that included scoring a hat trick with a penalty shot. It was such a fun night. One of the most productive nights of Johnny Gaudreau's career with the Calgary Flames. So I just thought it'd be fun to maybe look back on the hat trick he scored. So Michael, maybe if you want to play that video, that would be great.
Played all the way around for Lindholm. And he fires a pass to Monahan. Gaudreau breaking through. Right in. Scores! New career high goals and points for Johnny Gaudreau. Makes it 1-0 Calgary.
Lindholm to Monahan quickly to Johnny, and he's in behind the defense.
Johnny Gaudreau. Scores!
And this used to be the go-to move a lot of the guys had about 15 years ago, where you just slowly come in and expose the far stick size, about 18 inches up. Battle through, he's a 22-year-old.
Sean Monahan, good to see him back on the ice to Gaudreau, scores! Hat trick, Johnny Gaudreau.
Just a wonderful play, though, by Rasmus Andersson. Gets it to Monahan. He quickly finds Johnny with a nice little saucer pass. That's a great pass, and Johnny makes the adjustment.
That feels like it was 30 years ago. Man, those were the days. Those were some pretty fun, exciting Calgary Flames teams. I just thought it'd be fun to get some Johnny highlights in there. Keep his memory alive here. And now we'll move on to the game itself. We'll quickly dive into the Flames lineup tonight. There is a pretty significant change on the right side of the defense. The Flames, they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They've been playing kind of hit and miss hockey. When they're good, they're quite good. When they're bad, they get absolutely destroyed. So it's going to be interesting to see what side of the ledger they're on tonight. We started with Zary, Kadri, and Gridden, a pretty interesting trio there. You're kind of hoping Zary and Gridden can get Nazem Kadri going, who's been playing some pretty terrible hockey, to be totally honest. Probably some of the worst hockey he's played since arriving in Calgary. Then you have the Flames' top line right now, Yegor Sharangovich, Michael Backlund, Matt Coronado. That trio has been very good, led by Michael Backlund. Then you have the struggling Jonathan Huberdeau, along with Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, and Ryan Lomberg, Justin Kirkland, Adam Klapka. And then here's the big change. Kevin Ball on the left side, Zach Whitecloud on the right. He takes over for Rasmus Andersson. Whitecloud is he's a right shot, 6'2", shutdown defenseman. I don't think you can expect a bunch of fireworks out of him in the offensive zone. He is definitely a defensive specialist. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how he's able to fill the boots left behind by Rasmus Andersson. I think he's going to be a really good player on the penalty kill, and I think he's going to be solid defensively at 5-on-5, but you do miss that offense from Rasmus. So it's going to be great to see Zach Whitecloud, who's going to be wearing number 28, not number 2. He wore number 2 in Vegas, but for some reason, number 2 is not in circulation, even though Al McInnes' number is a forever Flame and not retired. I have no idea what the hell is going on with that, but regardless, he's wearing number 28, and it's going to be fun to see Zach Whitecloud in action tonight. And then you also have the constant pair of Jan Kuznetsov, Mackenzie Weegar, Joel Hanley, and Hunter Brstevich, and Devin Cooley gets the start in net. We'll take a quick look here at the New Jersey Devils lineup as well, courtesy of Amanda Stein, who has probably some of the nicest handwriting in the National Hockey League. Just tremendous handwriting here. We'll take a look at their lines. You got Timo Meier, Jack Hughes, and Jesper Bratt. That's got to be one of the most electric, high-skill lines in the National Hockey League right now. Andre Palat, Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer. A very solid second line for the Devils. Evgeny Dadonov, Paul Cotter, Connor Brown as a third line. And then 2 guys whose name I can't pronounce, and Cody Glass centering the fourth line for the New Jersey Devils. Here's where things get interesting for the Devils, is on defense and goaltending. The 2 areas that they've struggled with the most this year. Luke Hughes has had a rough year. He's paired alongside Brett Pesce, Jonas Siegenthaler, along with Dougie Hamilton, who's been a healthy scratch. He's been in trade rumors. And then we have Brendan Dillon and Simon Nemec, and Jacob Markstrom. Our old friend Jacob Markstrom gets the start and goal for the Devils tonight. And just quickly, there's like 2 things I just really want to quickly touch on with the Devils. What's going on with Dougie Hamilton? I mean, he's the former Flame. Flames acquired him in 2015 for a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. He played on a pair with Mark Giordano and was quite good. They were, I would argue, probably a top 10. You could even push top 5 pairing in the National Hockey League. But when you think of Dougie Hamilton, he only spent 3 years in Boston, comes to Calgary, only lasts 3 years. In his final year, I think things got so bad he didn't even go to his year-end meeting. He basically forced his way out of town, goes to Carolina, only lasts a couple years there, and now in year 5 in New Jersey, he's being shopped. This is a common theme for this guy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something to do with his personality, if the coaching staffs where he plays, I don't know if they fall out of love with him and his defensive game, but it's kind of interesting to always see him in trade rumors, and it would not be surprising to see him move between now and the trade deadline, because I think he's a buy low candidate. He makes a lot of money, and if a team can fit him under their salary cap, they might be able to get him for a bit of a bargain. He can still play top 4 minutes, but he's just one of those guys that just doesn't last very long in the cities that he plays in. And then the last New Jersey topic here is Jacob Markstrom. And he's having a very Jacob Markstrom stint in New Jersey. And what I mean by that is when he was with the Calgary Flames, it was bad year, good year, bad year, good year. And he's continued that stretch into New Jersey, as last year he was pretty solid for the New Jersey Devils. This year he's having just an awful year. He's 12-11-1 with an .879 save percentage and a 3.37 goals against. And, you know, when I think of Markstrom's bad years in Calgary, it was super unfortunate that he had them when he did, because the first one was in the Canadian bubble season when the Montreal Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup final, had Markstrom been better that year, the Flames could have easily made the playoffs and they would have played Toronto in round one. And who knows what could have happened there. And then the second time he had a rough year was the 22-23 season, Jonathan Huberdeau and Nazem Kadri's first year as members of the Calgary Flames. And that was a really good 5-on-5 team. That's probably the deepest team that the Flames have had in a long time. That team should have made the playoffs, and they should have had, done some damage in there as well. But Markstrom just had a brutal year. He was easily the number one reason why that team didn't make the playoffs that year. I know Huberdeau didn't play well, and Darryl Sutter didn't have a great coaching year, but Markstrom was kind of the guy, and he's kind of the reason why they didn't make it that year. So just thought it was kind of interesting that he's having a very similar run in New Jersey that he did in Calgary. We're just going to look at a couple bets that I have my eye on here, courtesy of our friends at Sports Interaction. We'll start with anytime goal scorer, and I'm going with Jesper Bratt tonight. I kind of mentioned it earlier. I think the Calgary Flames, they really struggle to deal with wingers who have a lot of speed and skill, and Bratt has both of those things in abundance. So I could see him getting on the score sheet tonight with a goal. And then my last two bets I got my eye on both have to do with Michael Backlund. So I have Michael Backlund at over 2.5 shots on goal tonight, which pays plus 130. Michael Backlund's been getting a lot of ice time. And the reason I have him as an over on the shot totals is because he's getting way more time on the power play. He's the center iceman on the Flames' first unit right now. And that first unit's Backlund, Zary, Sharon Govich, and Hunter Brstevich now on there as well. So yeah, he's getting a lot of power play time as well as time at 5-on-5. I like him to go over 2.5 shots. And like I just mentioned, he's getting a lot of power play time. So the final bet I have my eye on is Michael Backlund over 0.5 points on the power play. That pays out 6 plus 625. I really like that number. I like the way the power play is trending, that first unit in particular. Morgan Frost is also a part of that. That's the guy I missed out on. And yeah, they've been playing really well. They scored against Columbus and Chicago. They had a couple decent looks against the Islanders on Saturday. So Michael Backlund over 0.5 power play points. That is my last bet. And every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Get in on the action with parlay boosts, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. 19 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Let's move on to the Rasmus Andersson trade. I think everybody's here to listen about that. And we might have Ryan Pike join us here shortly, and he can give his thoughts on the Rasmus Andersson trade as well. But Michael, if we could pull up the graphic there just to remind everybody what the Flames received. So they get a first-round pick, a second-round pick that could turn into a first if the Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup this season. Zach Whitecloud and Abram Wiebe, who is a left-shot defenseman playing out at North Dakota. The Vegas Golden Knights, whenever they want to get a player, they get them. They just bully their way in there, and they get whoever they want. And they did it again with Rasmus Andersson. So I'm just going to give just a few thoughts on the deal here. And then we'll look at your comments, and we'll hopefully get Ryan Pike on here soon too, and we'll get his thoughts on the deal as well. But I have to say, I think overall it's a solid deal for the Flames. I don't think it's a home run by any stretch. If we're using baseball terms, I guess I'd say maybe it's a double. It's a decent deal for a rental player. And the scummy thing about this deal from a Vegas perspective is that they're getting Rasmus on like a rental price in terms of the assets they gave up. But I think we all know that Rasmus Andersson's going to end up signing with the Vegas Golden Knights at some point between now and free agency. I have that feeling. And honestly, who could blame him? I mean, why wouldn't you want to play in Vegas? That's a destination franchise right now. So one thing I think is underrated about this deal, a lot of people were a little upset that the Flames added Zach Whitecloud to the deal, a 29-year-old right shot defenseman, because it does block a spot for a younger player. The way I view it, though, is that if the Flames are smart, if the Flames are going to be a little more forward-thinking and learn from their mistakes here a bit, you would assume that they would be shopping Zach Whitecloud. And the one deal that I look at from last year was Luke Schenn went from Pittsburgh to Winnipeg for a second and a fourth-round pick. And if Luke Schenn can go for a second and a fourth, I think Zach Whitecloud, who has another 2 years left on his deal, only making $2.75 million, I think that could even garner even more than a second and a fourth round pick. Could that be like a second and a third, or maybe a third and a prospect? So if that does happen, and I'd be curious to know if you're not happy with the trade, would this make you happier? If the deal was a first round pick, a second round pick, and then another second and a fourth as the assets you get for Zach Whitecloud, are you happier with that than the initial trade with Vegas? That's kind of the question that I have for everybody. And, you know, if the team isn't Vegas, right? If it's not Vegas who makes that trade, are you also maybe a little bit happier? Because, you know, I'm getting sick and tired of the Vegas Golden Knights. I really am. I can't stand these guys. These guys are a total bully to the Calgary Flames organization. I'll get to that a little bit later. But that's kind of how I'm viewing the deal. I'm viewing it as first and second round pick, and then the additional picks or prospects you get for Zach Whitecloud. And, you know, say it is a first, 2 seconds, and a fourth. That's a really good return for, you know, 3 months of Rasmus Andersson. So I'm totally okay with that deal. And, you know, like I said, if they don't flip Zach Whitecloud, I think it would be a mistake. I think that's something that they really should do, because it'll open up a spot for Zane Parekh, because it'll allow the Flames to bottom out. And that's another part of this deal that I'm kind of interested in, or I think might be almost viewed as a bit of a negative, is because they brought back Zach Whitecloud, who can take on some pretty big minutes left behind by Rasmus Andersson, both at 5-on-5 in the penalty kill. I think that the Flames aren't going to be as bad as they could have been had they not acquired Whitecloud as part of this deal. Rasmus Andersson, I mean, he touches every part of the game for the Flames, and I really thought that the Flames were going to bottom out. I thought they would end up in the bottom three without Rasmus Andersson, but I think Zach Whitecloud puts a little bit of a dent into that. So for that reason, and to open up a spot for a young player, I really hope the Flames end up flipping him in another deal. We'll see what happens. The other thing that I'm not just a huge fan of is that there's a big logjam on defense now. You have 5 right shot defensemen on the Flames roster, with Mackenzie Weegar, Zane Parekh, Hunter Brstevich, Braden Pahal, and now Zach Whitecloud. Where are the minutes for Brstevich? Where are the minutes for Parekh going to come from when you have 5D? I just don't know where that's going to come. So once again, Zach Whitecloud, or even Joel Hanley, even Braden Pahal, those are 3 guys that the Flames should be shopping. And, you know, if they end up getting a half decent deal for Hanley, maybe you can move Mackenzie Weegar to the left side, and then you could have, you know, Parekh, Brstevich, and Pahal in the lineup, you know, something like that. So that's kind of another aspect of the trade that I'm looking at. And then, you know, finally, I hate the Golden Knights. They bully the Flames. They're the high school bully. Calgary Flames are that little nerd that's just getting shoved into lockers. You know, they're getting, you know, put upside down and losing their lunch money. The Vegas Golden Knights are the bullies of the Calgary Flames. And this dates back to the Mark Stone sweepstakes, when the Flames were right there in on Stone, and Vegas just comes in the last second and says, "Get the hell out of the way, you little nerd. We're going to get him." The exact same thing happened with Jack Eichel. You know, now they bully the Flames into trading Noah Hannafin for a bag of pucks, essentially. And now they get Rasmus Andersson for the price of a rental. But we all know that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to shop this guy. So I'm sick and tired of the Vegas Golden Knights. I can't stand them. But however, I will say I do respect the way they go about their business. I like how ruthless they are. And I really wish that the Calgary Flames would take a page out of Kelly McCrimmon's book and just start being super aggressive, start being ruthless. Like we're hearing like the media saying that if Nazem Kadri wants to get traded, that, you know, he has to go to the Flames and say, "Hey, I want to be moved." That's a load of shit. The Calgary Flames should be like, "Hey, we're going to put this guy on the trade market and we're going to trade him to one of the teams that we're allowed to through his contract, through his no trade." Why can't they do that? You know, the Vegas Golden Knights would do that. The Calgary Flames don't do that, though. So that's also super annoying. And then finally, the last point I'll make here just on the deal is, and I've said this before on social media and Afterburner and a bunch of different places, you know, the Flames, they have to be more forward thinking when it comes to asset management and trades and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this dates back to, you know, the mid 2000s post lockout. I mean, I went through it today, and it's crazy the amount of guys that they have not maximized their assets on. I mean, This can go back to Christian Huselius, who had a couple of fantastic years in Calgary, leaves as a free agent. Alex Tanguay has a great year in Calgary in 2007, leaves as a free agent. Then you go down the line. Robin Regeer, they don't get barely anything for Robin Regeer. Dion Phaneuf, one of the worst trades in franchise history. Mike Camilleri, they don't trade him at the deadline because Brian Burke wanted his price met and nobody met it, so he didn't trade him, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Then you go down to Bouwmeester, Iginla, Frolik, Brody, Giordano, Kachuk, Gaudreau, Hannafin, Anderson. Like, the Flames have not maximized these really good players. They're the top assets of their organization. They have really never maximized on them, and it's super frustrating. So the next tests are Blake Coleman and Nazem Kadri. We'll see if this team learns from their mistakes. And, you know, I'm not totally convinced that they will, but yeah, it's wild. It is absolutely wild. It'd be great to hear your guys' thoughts on the Rasmus Andersson trade and everything around the Calgary Flames right now. I'm just taking a look through the comments section. We got, I won't read that name, but still don't understand how Carlo got a bid first rounder and a 21-year-old centerman in Fraser Minton. I totally agree with you. Keep Whitecloud, trade Pahal and Bean. Yeah, I got no problem with Whitecloud. I think he's a really good player. I got no problem trading Braden Pahal, you know, to be a waiver wire pickup and then to go to getting an asset for him in a potential trade. I think it would be fantastic. Jake Bean's hurt. It sounds like it's pretty serious. So I don't think they would even be able to trade Jake Bean, but I like where your head's at. Ruthless is sexy if your team is doing it. Yes, I totally agree with you. Tell us something we don't know. KQ4949. Yeah, hey, bang on right there. The Flames are the Browns / the New York Jets of the NHL, just L after L. You know, at least the Flames have made the playoffs a few times over the last 15 years. The Browns and the Jets have just been a disaster tire fire. Especially the Jets. The Browns is actually a pretty good idea there with the Flames. Whitecloud, Hanley, Pahal, Frost, and then other guys like Kadri. Explore the options. Trade at least two of them. That comes from Hayden Runston, 7465. Yes, I totally agree with you. Huska will scratch Hubie if BX screams at him on Hockey Night in Canada again. I like that. The one constant is Murray Edwards from Hot Poop 63. Wow, what a great name there. The one constant is Murray Edwards, and yes, you are bang on. You are 100% right. And honestly, it doesn't even really matter who the general manager is. It could be Conroy, Treliving, Feaster, Sutter. The same things happen every single time a general manager comes to Calgary. They constantly push in assets to try to remain competitive, quote unquote competitive, and they end up, making the playoffs, missing the playoffs, making the playoffs, missing the playoffs. And when they do make the playoffs, nothing happens. They've won, I think, since 1989, since they've won the Stanley Cup, they've made it past Game 5 of Round 2 one time, and that was 2004. And nothing against the 2004 team, but that team went on a bit of a miracle run. That was not a great, well-constructed team. That was a bit of a Cinderella story. And that's the only time since 1990, we're talking 36 years, that the Flames have made it past Game 5 of Round 2 of the playoffs. If you're Murray Edwards, how are you not looking at yourself in the mirror right now and thinking to myself, I'm the problem here? Because I think you are. I think Murray Edwards is the problem. I think his direction is the problem. And man, it does get frustrating. I honestly, I don't know how Flames fans can put up with it sometimes. Travis is once again Hot Poop 63. Travis Hammond cost us 2 seconds and a first. Yeah, that's one of the worst deals in modern Calgary Flames history. This is from Uncle Hockey. Raz is a great trade. If it's Carolina or Detroit, it's trash because it's Vegas. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there. Vegas, they are a bunch of scumbags right now, and they're bullying the hell out of us. Mr. Watts, 69. Murray Edwards is so cheap that he moved to Switzerland to avoid taxes. Yes, he did do that. Fans should run this team. I agree, KQ4949. I definitely think the fans should run this team. So, no, I appreciate all the comments. Do we have any super chats, Michael?
From what I'm seeing, does not look like it.
Okay. But is Pike here?
He was, but then he had to go. It got a little loud.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Sorry, Pike. If you're listening or watching, I apologize for not getting you in here. But yeah, no super chats. All right. Well, you know what? Let's wrap this thing up. It's 6:57. We're about 10 minutes away from puck drop between the Calgary Flames and the New Jersey Devils. Once again, this show, Warmies, is brought to you by our friends at Sports Interaction. Every game is your game. When you bet with Sports Interaction, get in on the action with Parlay Boost, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. 19 plus to play. Please play responsibly. I am also hosting Afterburner tonight, so if you can't get enough Robert Munnich, enough Bobby Germany, then come on back to Afterburner after tonight's game. Looking forward to it. I'll be on with Kent Wilson. This has been Warmies, Calgary Flames, New Jersey Devils, Scotiabank Saddledome tonight. See, the Zach Whitecloud era begins. Should be a fun one. Thanks for watching.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more